What a special moment it was for Miguel Cabrera this season, and especially on Sunday there at Comerica Park. Time now to welcome in Daniella Br0's. You can find her all over your broadcast, Tigers and Red Wings, and find her on Twitter as well, at Daniella Br0's. Daniella, my friend, first and foremost, good morning to you. How are you? How's life? How are things?
Good morning. Everything's great. I just got chills listening back to that play again. It's been an incredible couple of weeks around Detroit.
It absolutely has. And I try to tell people and remind people this all the time that Dan Dickerson, people who enjoy him on the radio, his calls, the way that, he presents a broadcast and how informative he is and just how he makes you sound like you're in the living room, like watching a game with him. He is double the person like it comes to when he's just a nice guy. And like if fans have the opportunity to meet him, they will absolutely love him.
Oh, he's amazing. And that moment is when moments like that, I should say, is when Dan is his best, because I was down in the dugout actually for the final few innings of that game on Sunday, but I still have a headset on, obviously, and I'm listening to Dan. And it made me so emotional because the moment's emotional as it is, right? But the way Dan describes things to you and the way that he summarized Miguel Cabrera's career in such a short amount of time, but it really, really hit me. He's so good at what he does. And like you said, an even better person. So if you do ever meet Dan Dickerson, you're very lucky, and he will take the time to talk to you. So if you see him, make sure you stop him and let him know.
I absolutely love him, and I love Ken Cal too. Our radio teams across the board are simply just like sensational in Ken Cal, because you work with both of these guys on a regular basis. You get to see them all the time, just good human beings. And I just really appreciate that about them. When you look at how, I want to go first with like the Tigers organization as a whole, how they sort of presented this weekend and what that looked like from your perspective and the job that they did in honoring Miguel Cabrera, who the next time we'll see him will be in Cooperstown.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you this. Every single person that works behind the scenes in the Tigers organization was involved in this entire season, which was like the Gracias Miggy campaign all year long. But this weekend, everybody put their heart and soul into this weekend for the entire year. There was so much work that went into it, so much thought that went into each and every moment, and how to make it special, not only for fans, because fans wanted to send Miguel Cabrera off in a special way. We know that. But we wanted to make it special for Miguel Cabrera, too. And I was just a small part of it. And everybody that had the ideas and made everything happen, the execution of everything was just perfect. And at some point, you needed the game to go your way, too. And, hey, the baseball gods had our backs on that one because it just was perfect. The last moment was perfect. A.J. Hinch did an incredible job of knowing when to go and when to put Miguel Cabrera back in and when to let that moment happen for the fans. So it really was a whole team effort from top to bottom.
And the fact that he didn't even have a glove, and Torkelson has to give him his glove, and then Miggy, obviously signing it afterwards, and Tork going, this is going in the man cave. I mean, talk about a piece of memorabilia. Like, oh my goodness. Did you have a favorite moment from this weekend, or at least from like the last two series, like this final homestand, if you will, with the whole Miguel Cabrera, Gracias Miggy series, if you will?
Well, I kind of have two, and one of them is really personal, and then one of them was just the end moment where he takes the ground ball, steps out of the bag, and watching his teammates like get emotional from the dugout. I was getting emotional in the dugout. It was spectacular, and the fans in that building on Sunday were also spectacular. But I had a chance on Friday, I believe it was, to kind of sit with Miguel and do one more interview with him for the radio. And after we finished the interview, him and I just got to chat a little bit, and it was something that I'll remember forever. We just talked about the weekend, his career, his impact on baseball, his kids. He loves to talk about his kids, so he filled me in on their sports careers, volleyball and baseball and everything that they're doing. And it was just a really cool moment for me, too, to be able to have that one last interaction with him as a player. He'll be around next season. As we know, he'll be an assistant to Scott Harris, but it was very, very cool to have those final moments with him. And I know a lot of media members also got to do the same thing. And for me, I've only been covering him for a season, so I got to cover his last season. And there's so many media members that have been covering really his entire career. So it was pretty special the way that he was interacting with everybody the entire weekend.
Is it too much to say that the Tigers in 2024 are going to make the playoffs?
Okay. Well, I hate to make those type of predictions because I think it might put some added pressure, but we're all aware of the division that they're in, right? It's not a super strong division. And the way that the Tigers finish the season is the way you want to see them finish the season. We saw huge steps from guys like Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, even Andy Ibanez, who you don't expect to really take some strides in his game, was excellent at second base down the stretch. And then you have Tyler Holton coming out of the bullpen, being one of the best relievers in the league. And then you've got Tarek Skubal. So the pieces are there. There are some tweaks that need to be made, some pieces that probably need to be added. Scott Harris admitted they're going to be active this offseason, whether it be through free agency or trades. There's going to be some activity to try to make this team better, but they're also very cautious. They don't want to block some of their younger players that they've got in the system right now from getting to the big leagues, because if you look at the minor league stats, they're incredible. Our minor league system really improved this year. So there's a lot to be encouraged about. I don't want to say, yes, definitely they're going to make the playoffs, but let me tell you, their goal is to compete for this division, and they know they're capable of doing it. You saw the glimpses of it this season. So it's going to be exciting. Let's put it that way. I'm amped up already for spring training. I can't wait for the 2024 season.
And God forbid we get a break, and not a break like Riley Green's foot or anything. Like, I mean, just one good, can we just have one like halfway decent, healthy season? You think about the impact. What would Casey Mize have brought if Riley Green would have been in the lineup more consistently, without his injuries? I mean, you're trailing the division by what, 9 games? Like, I don't know. I'm going to say yes, definitely, because I'm in the radio world and I have like an entire, 6 months to keep saying yes, definitely until proven otherwise. And then I can just say I'm wrong. So that works out.
I like the optimism. Don't get me wrong. Optimism is a great thing to have. And I like it. Manifest it a little bit, right?
Yes, that's what they tell me on the internet. I just have to manifest, and all my dreams come true. You're right, Daniella. Now, the last time I saw you, I think that we were enjoying a pregame meal with our friend Kevin Fisher there inside Little Caesars Arena before a Red Wings game. Red Wings season is upon us. I was there working Saturday night, and in the pregame, here's an interview with you and head coach Derek Lalonde. And I have to ask you, when you ask a question to Derek Lalonde and he responds with, wow, good question, doesn't that make you feel good inside?
It does, but we always joke about this now, because when he first started as the head coach and he told me, like, he said, good question to my question, I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm killing it, right? He tells everybody good question. Like, he's never going to tell you asked a bad question. And he's excellent, and he means it. He does, but that's just his thing. He's like, oh, good question, So now it's not as special as it was when he first started, but he's great. He gives you so much information. He's great to talk to, and he's been a really, really great head coach and a pleasure to work with through the first season. So I'm excited to get things going with the Red Wings here too.
Yeah, as you begin the Red Wings season, right? Tigers campaign comes to a close, and we can all feel very encouraged and confident about that. I know it's been a very small sample size, and it's preseason, so not everybody's running out their A lineups each and every night. But I think that Alex DeBrincat might be better than what we thought. And I think most people kind of knew he was kind of good at this game of hockey, but I personally think he's better than what people can even expect. And playing on a line with Lucas Raymond and with Dylan Larkin, not only will Alex be better, but those other two are going to improve drastically. I think that top line is really something that this team has been overly dependent on, has been maybe the right way to put it, their top line, but the top line this year is so much better.
Yeah, they look really good. I agree with you there. And Alex DeBrincat adds a ton. He adds speed. He adds skill. He has the capability to pass. Like, he's a setup guy too. But you've already seen him and Dylan Larkin connecting. They look like they have the chemistry before they've even played a regular season game together, which is fantastic to see. And Lucas Raymond, last year, he'd be the first to tell you he didn't have the season he wanted to have last season. So if he takes steps forward, and he really did look bigger and stronger, I know that can be cliche, but when you're talking about a 19-year-old kid who's still developing and learning how to play at the NHL level, he looked way bigger, way stronger, a little faster. So I'm excited to see what he adds there too. And then you even look at guys like Daniel Sprong, who might be playing down the lineup, but he's been impressive throughout the preseason and training camp. And then you've also got Michael Rasmussen coming back from the injury, who's been pretty impressive. And Nate Danielson, who was the first round pick in 2023 in the draft, he's got an interesting situation because he can't go to the AHL this year. He would have to play in the NHL, or he has to go back to play on his junior team in the WHL. And he's been so impressive. It's like, man, he's making their decision a little bit tough. He's been excellent to watch, and I don't think he will be able to crack the roster this season just with some of the additions, but it's encouraging to see him mixing it up with NHL players and playing at that high of a level. So there's a lot to be encouraged about heading into the season, but I think you nailed it. Having Alex DeBrincat adding that star power to the team, the big name, the guy that has scored 40 goals in his career. Hopefully he does it again here in Detroit.
And Nate Danielson, I mean, first game with a wing wheel sweater on. I don't care if it's preseason or not, dude. You're playing NHL hockey and you score early on in the first period of your first game. I mean, can you smile? Can you
right?
Can you be happy for just 1 second?
I was just joking with Chris Draper. I saw him the other day. I said, "Hey, Danielson's looking pretty good, but can you get him to crack a smile?" And he goes, "I can't even get him to crack a smile. He's way too serious."
It's just stone cold about it. I'm like, dude, you just scored an NHL goal. You're 8. You don't even. He turned 19 the next day. He can't even drink in Canada. That's always our reference point because all of our teams are so young. It's like who can go to Canada and who can't. Daniella Br0's joining us right now. You can find her work all over both the Tigers and the Red Wings radio networks. You'll see her at Comerica. You will see her inside Little Caesars Arena. So I have to ask you on a personal side, hockey or baseball? Which one's your favorite?
Oh, my goodness. I've been getting this question lately. And if you would have asked me even a year ago or even maybe 3-4 months ago, I would have said hockey. But the way that this baseball season went and being a part of it and my job on the radio, I absolutely loved it. Baseball is so much fun to cover. We have such a great Tigers team. So I'm like dead even right now. I'm very excited for my new role with the Red Wings too. So I'll be on the radio with Ken Kell and Paul Woods for every game. And I think I might have a different answer at the end of that, but right now they're dead even. We have two really great teams to cover, and the players are so much fun. The coaches are great. Management is great. Everybody's so great to work with, and you mentioned it earlier. I get to work with Dan Dickerson and Ken Kell. How am I going to pick one? How do I have to pick my favorite? Imagine that.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. And Uncle Paul. We love Paul Woods here on this
Paul
program.
Woods is excellent. Yes,
yeah.
Paul Woods is excellent.
New role. What's the new role? You spill the beans. What do we got? What's going on?
So it's the same thing I was doing with the Tigers, which is my title is broadcast reporter. So I'm a sideline reporter, but on the radio, basically. So I'll handle pre and post stuff, and then I'll also chime in with some stories throughout, and then I'll be doing post-game interviews with our players as well. So just to add another dimension to our radio broadcast, and it worked really well with the Tigers, so I'm excited to see what it does for the hockey games too.
That is just awesome. Her name is Daniella Br0's. Find her on Twitter at DanielaBr0's_. Broadcast reporter. I love it. The sideline element to radio it's a brilliant idea. It's something that needed to happen probably, X amount of years ago. And we're glad that it's happening, especially it's such a exciting and pivotal time for this next generation of Detroit sports fans to have all four of our teams with a good young core that seemingly is in place and in a lot of hope around all of the organizations. Daniella, my friend, thank you so much for waking up with us. We greatly appreciate it. Continued success to you, and we'll see you soon inside Little Caesars Arena.
Thank you so much for having me. Everybody should be really excited about the upcoming fall and even the 2024 Tigers team. Thanks for having me.
We love it. Thank you, Daniella.